Yeah, it's after 4 o'clock. We're approaching 4:15, and I was in Hunts Point Market, and in the Bronx, New York. Traffic is horrible and on all the highways in every direction here, so I decided to take local streets. I have to head to the George Washington Bridge. So I decided to take the local streets. If you can see in the distance, that's I-87, and you can see that the direction that I need to go in, which is north, is the one that's congested and slow. So I'm gonna stay local and get to the Washington Bridge in ways that most people are not aware of, unless you're a resident, and unless even as a resident you've taken this type of path before. We're in the corner of 149th Street and Grand Concourse. We're gonna cross over, we're gonna go underneath I-87 and exit somewhere near the Yankee Stadium. And then we're gonna get on the University Avenue. Well, it used to be called University Avenue. I think they changed the name. And we're gonna head to the George Washington Bridge a different way. Now, you can go up I-87, but there's a problem with that. See the sign there that says 87 North. I don't want to take that. I don't want to go up this street, River Avenue. I don't want to get on 87 North. It's a mess, as you can see. If you look up, you can see that it's a mess. If you go up 87 to get on the George Washington Bridge, there's a huge obstacle in that in a very short distance you got to cross over 3 or 4 lanes in a very congested highway. If you've never driven in New York City and you decide to, you'll discover that a lot of drivers will not give you a break. Even though there are signs posted large enough and often enough that state that all trucks have to go in the far left lanes in order to get on the George Washington Bridge, because they're not allowed on the lower level. And as a result, they have to head over to the far left lane from the far right lane. Well, if you're on 87, you're not just on the far right lane, you're on the on-ramp getting into a lane to get to the far left lane. So it's a headache all the way around. So to avoid that headache, I'm going in this direction. I'm going to head up there local. And as you can see in this little piece right here, there's some congestion. There's a mall over here to my right. This area used to be a market. Much smaller than the Hunts Point Market, but a market nonetheless. What I remember of it, it was dry goods. Hunts Point has dry and refrigerated. But this little piece right here used to be a dry goods. They used to have markets on both sides. Not just the side where this mall is, but on the opposite side where the park is. There used to just be a strip of markets. They converted that side into a park. So we're gonna navigate through this traffic, this little piece of traffic right here, and we're gonna stay We're gonna stay on the local roads to get to the bridge. People out here are picnicking, playing tennis, the park that they created. Sometimes there's a circus that comes into town. A lot of these cars parked here are usually cabs. Either city cabs or Ubers and Lyfts and things like that. This particular guy has T and C on his plates. It says here no parking anytime. But if somebody's sitting in the car, that's technically not parking, they're standing. And the sign doesn't indicate that they can't stand. So if you're sitting in your vehicle, or if somebody's sitting in the vehicle, technically they're standing. So we're hanging out. We've got a little more movement here. Yeah, so we're gonna go through. We're still underneath I-87. I got caught by this light. Congestion is a regular event here in New York. And if you're in a truck with a tractor and a trailer 13.6 high, you really want to know where you're going. So there's a variety of heights on these bridges here. And if you're not careful, you'll come down a street where there's a bridge that is not high enough, and it'll be extremely difficult to get out of that situation. You don't know your way around. Got caught with another red, but I'm gonna stick on the right side. Because I'm gonna need to move over to the far right once I get up this ramp. Like I said, I don't want to get on I-87. I-87 is a mess. Not only are these bridges uncomfortable, but there are streets that are wide enough to accommodate trucks, but they're not allowed on the streets. And if you're not careful and you miss a sign, which in many cases you can miss, you'll find yourself getting pulled over and getting a ticket. Back in 2000, I want to say 15 or 16, the tickets were $280 if you were caught on a street that was not accessible. There goes Yankee Stadium. That's the new location of Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium used to be across the street and directly to my right. Yeah, if the street doesn't indicate that it allows truck traffic, no matter how wide that street is, you'll still get a fine. You'll get pulled over. You'll get a ticket. So I'm gonna stick over here. This is an old neighborhood of mine. If you take a left on this street here, Woody Crest, I used to live right up the hill. And you could probably get a better view of the stadium Now, the stadium used to be across the street to the right of where it is right now. This neighborhood used to be trash. My father got jumped by 4 people. They almost killed him. And I don't know how wide of an angle the lens is right now. But like I said, the stadium used to be across the street from where it is now, to the right. Yeah, and I'm doing all this to avoid that I-87 traffic and that I-87 merge onto the bridge. This route has something uncomfortable, a merge that's uncomfortable, but nowhere near as bad as what it is trying to get onto 95 from 87 by the George Washington Bridge. It does not compare at all. Still uncomfortable, but it does not compare. Here's the stadium. Got a very nice park after the stadium here on the right that has a number of things built in for recreation purposes: basketball, soccer, baseball. I'm not sure if they have a pool or not. Never really went to that park. Now, off to the left here, set of stairs. Maybe you'll be able to see it from that angle. Not sure. But right now, I am adjacent to one of the public schools that I attended. I believe I was there for 5th grade, grade 5, and back then, I had to go to school with a weapon, a knife or something, because of how dangerous it was. The public schools here look like old factories. They're built in the form of old factories. This is the area also where Larry Davis was hunted down by New York City police officers, and he came out of the apartment shooting and killed I don't know how many cops. There was an aggressive manhunt for him as a result of that. You can look it up in YouTube, Larry Davis. He injured a few cops. He might have killed 2 or more. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But this was, I think, 1 street over from where we are right now is where the incident occurred. Straight ahead, you can see the number 4 train. It's above ground over here. Once it goes past the stadium that we passed, it goes below ground. So we're going to turn left on this street, Edward L. Grant Highway. We're doing all this to avoid all that madness. And it doesn't matter what highway you're on in the Bronx. It's going to be terribly congested. You'll probably go forward faster if you put the car or truck in reverse. That's how slow it is. A lot of these buildings are all refurbished. When I was living in this area, this was in terrible shape. A lot of drugs, a lot of gangs. They got cleaned up. There used to be heroin and heroin addicts everywhere. Then crack came on the scene, and there were heroin addicts and crackheads everywhere. These streets are narrower. Yep. Narrower now because of this island right here on the left. They never used to have that. I guess they dedicated a lane to the buses. They never used to have that before. You got them now. And also this area on the right where cars can park away from the sidewalk. So there's a bike lane now running between where the cars are parked and the sidewalk. We never used to have that before either. You used to ride a bike at your own risk. Kind of still do, but we never used to have bike lanes back then. A lot of bike messengers used to run up and down the streets. Although out here in the Bronx, I never used to see too many or any bike messengers, but when they were around, they didn't have bike lanes, and they used to weave in and out between cars like maniacs. So here we go, Edward L. Grant Highway. All the old timers around here know this as University Avenue. I don't know when the name was changed. So I'm at the point now where 2 more traffic lights and I make a left, go across the High Bridge Bridge, go into the High Bridge section of Manhattan. If anybody's in the Bronx and wants to avoid the cross Bronx, I-87, the Bruckner, you guys can venture off this way. Get on the bridge with less hassle. So we're gonna get on the left sign that says 95 George Washington Bridge, Amsterdam Avenue. Now, where I'm gonna enter, wow, I'm looking at the Cross Bronx right now. It's not even moving. It is not even moving. Straight ahead and slightly to the left, these group of buildings, these are projects. You got the tenement buildings and the projects. They're both equally as bad in this area. So now we're going to get on the bridge. This is not the George Washington, but this is a bridge that connects the Bronx and Manhattan. Once you get on the other side of this bridge, you'll be on 181st Street, 181st and Audubon Avenue. Single brown tall building on the right is Yeshiva University. I'm looking at I-87 now. I'm above it, and traffic is terrible, northbound and southbound. Now, the streets up here are terribly congested, but I'm gonna maneuver, or I'm gonna take a shortcut, and I'm gonna avoid this street traffic here. Apparently this driver here is not paying attention. It's causing traffic over here. So before I completely finish crossing the bridge, whoa, this guy was real close to me. Before I go completely over the bridge, I'm gonna take this exit here on the right. And if you notice, it says 95 South George Washington Bridge. Definitely what I want. This little route is rarely used by truck drivers from what I've seen, but if you find yourself in the Bronx, you need to get on the George Washington Bridge, and you want to avoid I-87 and the Cross Bronx. This might help you. This couple right here in the car, they're getting their fruit on. Whoa. I got real close to that car. Good thing I took a look in the rearview mirror to see how close I was. My tandems would have ripped off their bumper. So this connector here is going to put me right on the lanes that the truckers are supposed to be on to cross the George Washington Bridge. When you come in southbound on 95, all the trucks have to go to the far left 2 lanes to get onto the George Washington Bridge. The left 2 lanes will take you to the upper deck of the bridge, because in the lower, trucks are not allowed. So here we're gonna see just how uncomfortable this little piece is. But like I said, it's nowhere near as uncomfortable as getting on from I-87. Nowhere near as uncomfortable. This is not an unusual scene here. I think where I've seen the largest number of people that are homeless and panhandling is in Massachusetts, near Boston, in the Boston area. That's where I've seen the highest number of panhandlers near a highway. This is narrowing down to one lane, and like I said before, the drivers here, they really don't give you much of a break. This car that just pulled up over here in front of me squeezed in real tight up on me on my right. And now to get on here, you have to get aggressive. You have to get aggressive. You can lower your window and make eye contact with the drivers. Maybe use a hand signal or so to let them know. Thank them before you go in. That way you can be, I just thank the person. I'm gonna keep going over some more. So, I made the mistake of saying that this puts you right on the lanes. I just waved at the driver in that far left lane. I thanked him. But the truth is that, once you get on here, you got to get in the left lane. You can see the signs there that says all trucks. Everything to the right is for cars only, and everything to the left is for trucks and cars. But no trucks are allowed. I don't know if you can see the sign. It says no trucks, lower level. That was a little uncomfortable, but like I said before, nowhere near as uncomfortable as trying to get into these lanes from I-87. Absolute nightmare. Disaster. Because you're in the far, okay, so we have what, 6 lanes here? So you gotta cross basically 5 or 6 lanes to get to where you need to be once you get on I-95 from 87. And the cars will just make your life miserable there. They're too busy trying to close the gap not to let you in. And now this lane's gonna end, and thankfully I have a truck to my left, and he slowed down enough. I just pull my window down and thanked him by waving at him. I'm gonna stay right in the middle because there's some vehicles behind, and to minimize the bottlenecking that will occur, I'm gonna stay right here in the middle so that the cars don't come up on my right side and create a bottleneck up front and slow everybody down. That's one thing that slows everybody down, is when cars try to beat everybody and get to the narrow area first. Because I prevented the cars from doing that, this piece right here is flowing a little faster. And now we're about to get on the bridge. George Washington Bridge. Here we go. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that little ride from the Bronx, local streets, to avoid the congested highways, to get to the George Washington Bridge. Thanks, everybody.